let's take a look at some new leaked rules that have surfaced for the new Eldar Shroud Runners. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where Games Workshop leak season continues in full force. As we've already mentioned on the channel a few times, there do seem to be datasheets surfacing from a playtester copy of the Eldar Codex, with units like the Incarn and the Wraith Knight getting their profiles leaked to multiple places on Discord and Reddit. Today it seems like another one's turned up, and we have a full datasheet for the new Eldar Shroud Runners that appears to have made its way into the wilds of the internet. An absolutely massive thank you to the person who put me onto this. It's really exciting to see some hinted rules for a brand new unit. As always with these leaks, as they are apparently from a playtester codex, that does mean that they might not entirely represent the exact form that they take in Codex Eldar, though I think it's pretty much safe to say that they will represent something very similar to the rules that you see. Maybe they might just make a few balance changes, perhaps toning down rules that they feel are too strong, or buffing units that are just a bit underwhelming. In any case, let's take a look at these Shroud Runners, a whole new unit for Codex Eldar that are going to be released in that Eldritch Omens box. Eldar Outcast Rangers mounted on a jet bike for all your sniping and scouting needs. I think the models are quite fun, though I must admit I do think they look a little bit less gainly than some Eldar jet bikes. Having two riders with some big capes do make them look a little bit on the bulky side. Still though, I do think that they're pretty good fun. The new Ranger sculpts look absolutely amazing in my opinion, and there's something pretty cool about one guy driving the bike while the other guy behind him casually picks off enemy heroes. In any case, let's get into some rules then. Shroud Runners appear to be an Eldar Craftworld's fast attack choice, not too surprising there, and their squad size is 3 to 6 models in size. Kind of a good thing really. A fair few of their smaller units tend to be very limited in squad size, things like the Space Marine Outriders, Eliminators or Suppressors. I much prefer it when they give you a little bit of flexibility. Each model does appear to be, as rumoured, 35 points each, and the squad in total is either 5 power for 3 models or 10 power for 6. Their stat line also does seem to tally up with the rumours: 16-inch movement, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 2+, so really accurate on that range long rifle there, strength 3 in melee, so not hitting too hard, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a 4+ armor save. I guess it's sort of as you would expect with an Eldar jet bike, ridiculously fast, perhaps even better ballistic skill than I might have imagined. I do wonder if the Rangers might be going to ballistic skill 2+ if these guys get it, but also relatively fragile, maybe even more so than other Eldar jet bikes. Toughness 4, 3 wounds and a 4+ armor save really aren't going to hold up to much enemy fire. They very much look like they're going to be paying a premium for their mobility and the relatively heavy firepower that they kick out. Keywords wise, they unsurprisingly have Biker, Fly and Azayani. They do have the Craftworld's keyword, so it does appear that you might likely be able to get Craftworld attributes on them. They are a core unit, which would help out for buffs for things like Autarchs, I imagine, and they also have picked up the Outcast keyword. That's not one that the Rangers or the Eldar ever had before, so presumably that's to access certain other synergies that they have access to, one of which it does appear that the Shroud Runner jet bikes do have to offer. Weapons wise, it appears that the Shroud Runners are armed with a Ranger long rifle, 36 inches, heavy 1, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1, and as is normal for most sniper weapons, 6s to wound get you mortal wounds as well. In addition to that, and perhaps the main event, is the Scatter Laser, 36 inches, heavy 6, strength 6, AP 0, damage 1, which is by far and away a more threatening weapon. Finally, they have a Shuriken pistol as well. This one's a single shot at 12 inches, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1, so it does appear to have acquired the similar changes that the catapults did too. It is kind of interesting that with the model with such a massive focus on that enormous sniper rifle, it does seem like it's almost an incidental shot compared with the 6 shots coming out of that scatter laser. Even with a big unit of 6 of these guys, you're not really likely to do all that much damage with those long rifles. Even if you piled 6 of these into a standard Space Marine character, you're only averaging around about 2 or 3 wounds on them. So really I do feel that while they look like a sniper unit, they're actually more of a fast-moving harassment unit, kicking out lots of anti-infantry fire with that scatter laser. Kind of nice to see the long rifle stats though. That does mean that the Rangers will be doing a little bit better sniper fire. AP -1 is just going to make them a bit more of a threat. For 35 points though, that in addition to the scatter laser I don't really think is too bad. These things will absolutely shred infantry with 7 shots per model, and scatter lasers are indeed strength 6. I know I reported them as strength 5 in the Wraith Knight video. It does seem that I was mistaken on that one. Really though, I think with that defensive profile, I think it's going to be the special rules that make or break the unit, and these guys have quite a lot. First up, they do appear to have battle focus, which is kind of interesting as I thought that might just be for infantry. If it is indeed the rumoured move, then shoot, and then move d6 inches, that should mean that you have a decent chance of jumping these out of cover, shooting, and then fading back to somewhere that they can't be shot. I feel like you might see a lot of these hovering at long range and then just nosing themselves behind cover, so they can fire without getting any reprisals unless you can ignore line of sight. They do have that Strands of Fate rule, meaning that you could punch in some 6s to hit or wound or something if you wanted to. I feel like in general it's going to be less valuable on these compared with bigger, heavier firepower, though I guess if you did have something like an enemy character alive on 1 wound, then punching in a 6 to wound with that long rifle, that could be a way to really reliably finish them off. Like the current Eldar jet bikes, and indeed bikes in general, they get plus 6 inches when they advance rather than d6. Typically I think they're not going to want to do that all that much. They've already got an absolutely great movement at 16 inches. I think most of the time you're going to want that and still open up with their decent guns. Then we get into a trio of datasheet specific rules. First up we have their Shroud Runner cloak, which appears to be their equivalent of a ranger cloak. First up, apparently they get light cover as if they were infantry. Again, that tallies with the rumours that we heard earlier, and if they do receive the benefit of cover, they get +1 to their armour save as well. I feel like these guys are just massively incentivised to hug cover with that, and provided you do have a respectable bit of area terrain, it does mean they should be a bit harder to take out. If they're not forced to be out in the open for some reason, that should mean that they're up to a 2+ save rather than a 4+, and unless the opponent's able to charge them in combat, or have some ignores cover or high AP, they are going to be a fair bit more difficult to shift. Still probably not a unit that you want right on the front lines, but I could quite happily see them hovering in the upper floors of ruins or something, maybe being an annoying threat that your opponent can't really be bothered to deal with. Next up we have Target Acquisition. This allows you to choose one enemy unit within 12 inches in the shooting phase, and it sounds like it allows you to spot for the other outcast units in the army, presumably Rangers and Illic Knightspear, and then all of those Rangers get to ignore cover with their attacks with their Ranger long rifles or Voidbringer Illic's weapon. To be honest, I'm a little bit less convinced with that. I feel like in general these guys don't want to be too close to the enemy, and I'm not sure that getting to ignore cover is usually going to be quite enough to warrant getting them very close. I guess it could be handy opportunistically though, and certainly could be a small buff to their own shooting, particularly with those scatter lasers that don't have great AP. Finally, they have a Swift Scouts rule. This allows them to make a normal move before the game begins. Very powerful when you've got a massive 16 inches to play with. The only stipulation is that you have to end the move outside of 9 inches of enemy models. Again, I feel like this could be interesting, but I'm not 100% convinced you're always going to want to throw them up towards the enemy. They feel like a unit that's much better just hovering around, sitting back and flanking the enemy, as opposed to being thrown down their throat. I guess if you do happen to go first, it could allow you to get some first turn charges on something that really doesn't want to be in combat. Perhaps locking up a powerful enemy shooting unit for a turn could be worth the lives of these 35-point models. Could potentially be a way to get some unlikely lines of sight on some things that were hiding behind cover as well. I guess clearing out some infantry with mass scatter lasers might be fun. To be honest though, this could even allow you just to place them fairly aggressively if you have first turn, and if you don't have first turn, then just use that massive 16-inch movement to scoot them back somewhere where they're going to be safe. Overall, these might just be playtest rules, and we don't know if they're going to be absolutely finalised yet, but the Shroud Runners are looking pretty nice. Probably not a unit that you're going to want to spam for days, but a few of them could bring some enormous utility to the list, some really nice movement special rules, solid anti-infantry firepower, and that pre-game move could certainly allow you some shenanigans against certain opponents. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. If their final rules do take this form, do you think that these guys are looking scary on the table? If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where we'll certainly cover any more news and rumours of Games Workshop's releases coming out. I do try and keep regular 40k videos coming just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to quickly mention the Auspex Tactics Patreon page, which you can find down in the video description. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways, with the chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.